Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me in this Food Avengers show. I'm Brian, and I will be your host for today. Before I start off, I would like to ask a question. Why do we emphasize so much in the importance of eating healthy food? Okay, never mind, I'll give the answer. So basically, we eat healthy food actually consists of reduced salt, fat, and sugar. However, it tastes worse than a junk food because it consists of where you know that junk food consists of full of cream, salt, and sugar. So before I move, we eat these three components as a quick energy fix in our body. So before I move on, I would like to introduce our consumer of the day, Miss Huda. Our food technology student, Miss Najiha. And our food technologist, Miss Tasina. And lastly, our food economist, Mr. Wirawan. Welcome everyone, and we are all here to come and discuss the trends in salt, fat, and sugar reduction. So before, I would like to know more from the perspective of a consumer first. So what do you say, Miss Huda?
Thank you, Brian. Nowadays, we lead to a very busy lifestyle with a little no time for exercising. When it comes to our health, our motto is minimum effort, but we want a maximum output. So nutritious food can help us to achieve this because this food has a small amount of fat, sugar, and salt contents. Hence, we can observe the reduced intake of this component nowadays.
Alright then. Over here, I have a bag of chips. Perhaps as a conscious consumer, are you able to read and understand nutritional labeling?
Yeah, sure. When it comes to nutritional labeling, the thing that concerns me the most is the fat content. To eat saturated fat in a big amount is bad for our health. Here it says that when the daily value of the saturated fat is 18%, but actually it should not more than 50%. Here it says that when we eat entire container of the potato chips every day, this is very bad for us. Okay.
Wow, thank you, Miss Huda. I didn't know you can able to read and understand nutritional labeling. Okay, let us move on. Mr. Wirawan, could you elaborate more on the current trends in our salt, fat, and sugar reduction these days?
Hello. Hello everyone. What I can really say is that almost adults, those who are working, will have their own desk job. So that will make them to move a little bit slow. So because they are doing their job on their chair every day, typing or sorting files. So from that scenario, the sedimentation of the fat and sugar will occur in their body because the minimalization of the movement. From that scenario also, they tend to stay healthy by spending more. Yeah.
I'm curious, Mr. Wirawan, but anyway, thank you. Why do you say that consumers have to spend more by eating healthy foods?
People want to eat healthy food, such as organic vegetable, organic foods, but they didn't realize that the production of the food and that available in the market is very small, so the price is slightly going to be a little bit high. Perhaps Miss Tasina Chopra can elaborate a bit about this issue. May I?
Okay. Yes. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for passing the torch to me, first of all. To help you elaborate your answer, I can say that it is very difficult to manufacture a food which has small amounts of fat, sugar, and salt without compromising on the taste and texture. For example, a very common substitute for white cane sugar or sucrose is honey, but the chemical properties of honey vary very greatly from that of sucrose. So when we do end up using it in place of normal sugar, we see that the end quality of the product is not up to mark. As a result, the development of the product, the time period of development of the product is very long. Also, the ingredients used are slightly more expensive, because as we can say with certainty that artificial products such as synthetic ingredients or GMOs are not popular among the consumers. So overall, when we do end up making the new product, the healthier product, and we send it off to the shelves of the market, we see that it is more expensive yet nutritious rather than its peers. Hope to answer the question.
Thank you, Ms. Dasina. So, what have you in your mind that you can able to solve this issue?
I already answered once. How about a member of the new generation of food technologists answer this one?
Okay, how about you, Ms. Najia?
Okay, thank you. I'll be happy to answer the question. So when it's come to these three food components, we must remember that fat is for flavor, sugar is for energy, and salt is the only commodity which introduce flavor in food. So to reduce any of these three things, we are in a big trouble actually, as the taste, the quality, and the texture of the food will be clearly compromised. So to tackle this issue, the most convenient solution, which appeases both parties, is to use fat, sugar, and salt in a small amount of ratios along with their synthetic substituents. So this will keep the taste, the texture, and the quality of the food intact, as well as introduce a certain level of healthiness to the food. Hope that I could justly answer your question.
I'm really impressed, Ruki. I didn't know that the new generation was so knowledgeable.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Najia and Dasina. Just now you have mentioned substitutes. So, could you name some examples of substitutes for salt, fat, and sugar, Ms. Dasina?
Yes, of course I can. I will begin with fat, as Ms. Huda said that it is the food component that causes panic in the mind of a conscious consumer. The funny thing is, not all fats are bad for you. Only two kinds, trans fat and saturated fat. The question is, how do you get these two kinds of fat? If you reuse the same batch of oil for frying or deep frying over and over again for a long period of time, you create trans fat. That is extremely bad for health. And saturated fat can be found from animal-derived fat-based products, for example, butter, lard. So the solution is very simple. You use the same batch of oil to fry foods, a definite number of foods. For example, you use the same oil to fry only twice and then you replace it. Then the food will still be healthy, although it has been deep fried. And in case of saturated fats or animal products, you use vegetable-derived ones. For example, peanut oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, and many more. The most healthy one and also the popular one out there in the market today is extra virgin olive oil. But there's a problem. When we use it in an industrial scale, we see that the end product is very soggy and oily. This occurs because extra virgin olive oil has a low smoking point. Cooking time is more and the fat absorbs more oil. So nowadays we use a cheaper oil which has a high smoking point, that is corn oil. So although the end product is deep fried or semi-fried, the saturated fat content or the trans fat content is less than or exactly the daily value amount. And for sugar, for example of sugar and salt substitutes, I would like to ask for your help.
Okay, I will answer for the sugar. In place of the white cane sugar, which is the sucrose, we can instead use stevia, applesauce, maple syrup, agave nectar, blah blah blah, etc. Okay, in the what I wanted to say. Okay, in cookies, confectionery item, or maybe in a barbecue meat, we use white cane sugar in order to produce crystallization or for the caramelization. But we don't really want this to happen in the jams, jellies, or cakes. So how do we really want to combat this scenario? Okay, in cookies and confectionery item, we use white cane sugar in cookies and confectionery item, if we use sugar substitutes such as honey in the process, maybe the texture or the crispiness of the product will not be met and not meet the customer's demand. So in order to fight that, we can instead use sugar substitutes, and the sucrose. We mix them in a correct ratio so that it can be a bit healthier. Yeah, maybe I explain a bit about the sugar. Perhaps Miss Adiba Najiha can explain a bit about salts. May I?
Okay, thank you. Even with my limited experience in this field, I can say with absolute guarantee that there is no a perfect natural ingredient for salt. Salt is the only commodity which introduce flavor in any type of food. So, even salt being used in a small amount of ratios in confectionery item. So, if we consume high amount of salt, there will be an increase in high blood pressure. So, the best replacement for salt is to use potassium chloride. But this potassium chloride will somewhat give the effect in the aftertaste of the food. So another salt substituent is to use high amount of acid in terms of citrus and also casein. So high amount of acid can somewhat minimize the requirement of salt to be used in food in order to enhance the flavor of the food.
Thank you, Mr. Wirawan, Dasina, and Ms. Najiha. So basically, to sum up, actually, these three components consist of many kinds of substituents which can help to actually enhance and also build up a healthy option of the food. And each substance used has a significant effect in the food that we are going to give to and market to consumer. Okay, so as just now what Ms. Najiha has said, the last part of is about salt. So do you know that too much? Why do we have to consume food which have lower salt content, Ms. Huda?
Yes, I do. Salt has the ability to trap and hold back the water inside the body. Consuming it in high quantity will lead to increase the amount of water it presents in blood, ultimately will causing the high blood pressure. The higher the blood pressure, the more the strain on heart, arteries, kidney and brain. This will lead to a stroke, dementia and kidney failure. Hope to answer to your question.
Yes, you did, Ms. Huda. Wow, I never know that consumers these days are so keen on health issue. Is that the reason why they start to purchase healthy food, Ms. Tasina?
I can begin the answer by saying that every decade a new trend comes when it comes to eating food. For example, from the 1980s to early 2000s, we can say that fast food was very popular. You get very tasty food at a small expense and time. But nowadays, people rarely or sometimes occasionally eat fast food. The question is, why is that? Because, as explained earlier, it contains large amounts of fat, sugar, and salt. She explained the problems, the health issues a person faces when eating too much salt. Now I'll begin with fat and sugar. The main reason we eat fat and sugar is to gain energy. But the issue arises when a person gains more energy than they can spend. A common theory is that a person, on average, gains 2,000 to 2,200 calories per day. But what happens if they gain extra? that extra calorie is reserved in the body in the form of blood sugar and in the form of insoluble fat. When you have high blood sugar, the most common disease you can see in a patient is diabetes. Everybody knows diabetes is bad. And when you have high amounts of insoluble fat, you can say that the fat is sedimented all throughout the body. The problem arises when it sediments in the arteries, because this clogs the overall blood circulation of the heart, and as a result the person can experience heart attack. So these are common diseases, and also the most dangerous one comes from overeating. Overeating leads to obesity, not only a simple gain of weight, but also the trigger for all these diseases. So as the consumer said, when you are conscious of your health and you want to avoid all of these diseases, you simply just choose to eat healthy. There's no other option. Hope to answer your question.
Thank you, Ms. Tasina. But if to manufacture food with this low sugar, salt, and fat, is there any effect will happen if you manufacture this kind of food in the market, Mr. Economist?
Mr. Economist, okay. Okay. The fact is that if we reduce the amount of sugar, salt, or fat in the food, then obviously it will be a lot nutritious and healthy. But it is quite difficult to produce this healthy food without damaging or altering the taste or maybe the color or the texture. So what I can really say is that healthy food is expensive.
Oh my God! Talking about price. So, do you think you and your fellow colleagues are able to produce food with healthy food in lower price, Ms. Najiha?
Okay, thank you. Technology is evolving day by day. We already know that pure organic cannot be produced in a large scale due to upcoming drawbacks, and also the synthetic products are slowly losing their popularity among the masses. Fat, sugar, and salts are the most basic components that present in every type of food. So to reduce fat, sugar, and salts are not the only ways to achieve a healthy diet. And also the substitute of fat, sugar, and salts are not only ways to get the desired end product, but we are slowly discovering new method of technology day by day. So I hope that within the next 2 decades we are able to produce healthy food in a large scale, so that this kind of food can be sold in a cheaper price.
Well, we hope to see that, Ms. Najiha. So, well, I would like to say today's discussion has given us a clear explanation on the trends of salt, fat, and sugar reduction. So basically, it starts off with a change in our lifestyle, which has led to the awareness that has been rising among consumers to choose a healthier option which has a reduced salt, fat, and sugar. But it also a healthier option can also be mean of food which has reduced salt. Can be replaced by other kinds of substituents to actually to make this food much more healthier. So before I end my discussion, I would like to express my thanks to all the experts from various backgrounds, and thank you very much, and see you next time.